All right, welcome back. We continue live right here at Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani, Gene Collier with you on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call Bordas and Bordas Hotline. Give it a shout, 412-575-2600. Pirates today won a game. They down 5-0, came back with 6 straight at the end of the game, including 2 RBI, the winner by Colin Moran, who's going to be a backup. They put him at first. You know, there are a lot of people down in Pirate training camp right now, Gene, who think that Josh Bell has not progressed defensively, which is okay with me as long as he progresses offensively. If he hits the long ball and drives in runs, I really don't care what he does defensively. What's it going to take for Josh Bell, you know, to be the person that you want him to be out there every single day? Because there's a guy named Will Craig who wants an opportunity to play there as well. Right.
Josh Bell has to just kind of relax and go back to whatever was working for him 2 years ago. He's certainly not going to be an asset if he's going to hit 12 homers, because he is an average to below average fielder, I think. Colin Moran, of course, is not the answer there either from a power standpoint, much less a speed or defense standpoint. So, you know, unless Josh Bell gets back to hitting 25 homers, first base is going to look like a sore spot for the Pirates.
All right, your choice now when it comes to fifth starters. You have Jordan Lyles, you have Nick Kingham, you have Stephen Brault. Who's your pick?
Well, all of those people are classic fifth starters. They pitch good for a while and bad for a while, and they go to training camp, you know, seeing whether or not they can be a fifth starter. Nobody has a great fifth starter.
All right, on that, let's go to the lines. People want to talk. Josiah in San Antonio, one of our favorite callers. Hey, Josiah, how are you?
All right, yourself. Hey, Gene, how you doing as well?
Hey, how are you?
All right, I just want to say something quickly about Ben. Here's a guy that threw for 5,000 yards last year. He comes to work every day, and he just gets, like, disrespected outside of the league. Like, guys like Max Kellerman talking about before Foles got traded that they would have got rid of Ben, and he's the issue of all the drama in Pittsburgh. But when you look closely, I think Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are kind of jealous of him.
First of all, this is pile-on Ben season, Josiah, if you haven't noticed. And most of the people doing the piling on are Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell's minions, the people who are on national TV and are friends of theirs. And all they care about is whatever they hear from those two. I think that's unfair to Ben Roethlisberger. Is he perfect? No. Does he have his issues? Yes. But you know, he's been there, and the default argument is go back to the allegations against him in Milledgeville. And I'm sorry, that's a long time ago. He's changed. He's done a lot of good since then. He's been out there putting up big numbers. So I don't know what people want anymore, and I'm tired of that old excuse, he's the problem. Prove to me he's the problem, you know? What is the problem?
And then just quickly, that guy, Josh Harris, talking about in 2014, Big Ben was trying to disrespect Haley and he fumbled on purpose. And it's like, come on now, that's just absurd. Why would he do something like that, man?
Well, Bruce Gradkowski shot that down really nicely on Twitter, if you haven't noticed. Check it out if you didn't. Thanks, Josiah, for the call. But also found today, someone sent me a picture, a screenshot of Harris back in 2014, taking a hand off a picture and a tweet that says, "We follow our leader, Ben Roethlisberger. He is the leader." That's what the same guy who accused him of purposely fumbling said just a few days ago.
Yeah, well, Josh Harris got a lot of notice on social media, which, as you know, is a parallel universe now. It's more important to be a star in that universe than it is to be in what's called actual reality.
Line one we go. It's Tony in the Hill District. Hello, Tony.
Hey, Bob. Hi, Gene. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Tom?
I just want to say I don't think that it was worth the Broncos taking Joe and a trade, because I think whatever they're going to pay Joe Flacco, I think they just rather had just picked the quarterback from the draft instead of give him the money, because I don't think it was worth the trade.
Well, they did that already with Paxton Lynch. It didn't work out. They spent a first-round pick on him, and they went in a different direction. And I think John Elway, who is a quarterback guru himself and should understand it, other than Peyton Manning, there have been a lot of people come and gone. He's used draft picks on a Gene, and he's not been successful. So now he goes out and reaches for a guy that has had pedigree. Does he have more left is the big question with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, John Elway was a much better quarterback than he is a GM. He's not going to have a great legacy in that era.
No. And, you know, as far as Denver is concerned, a lot of people were tweeting us yesterday about Oakland. Watch out for the Raiders. Okay. I still want to see those tweets at the end of this coming season, because the Raiders, remember, reside in a division that includes Kansas City, San Diego, or Chargers, and Denver. What position will they end up in?
No, and last time we really looked hard at them, which was December 9th, they were 2-10.
I didn't get your response to Burfict. You weren't here last night. Vontaze
yeah.
Burfict and Antonio Brown together again in a different way.
Yeah,
Teammates.
I can't believe Burfict can be employed by an NFL team. That's staggering to me.
How do you think he and Brown will do together?
I really don't care.
I knew you didn't. Line 4, Waylon in Washington. Waylon, you're on the Sports.
Hey guys, really appreciate you guys. Hey, check it out. Like, it's just like you're talking about. Like, I've heard some stuff about, like, do we get a linebacker in Pittsburgh now, or what's going on with the linebacker?
Well,
You guys
they signed Mark Barron, and they believe he can be somebody who comes in and contributes, which might lessen the need to get him. But to me, there is no lessening of the need. Gene, I think they still have to get an inside linebacker, regardless of Mark Barron. If he's good, great. That's another guy to have in there. You can never have enough. But to me, that still has to be the play.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, their needs are exactly the same they were before they signed Nelson, before they signed Barron. All that does is gives them a little bit of latitude in the draft, that when their turn comes up, if there's an athlete at another position that they really love and didn't expect to be there, they can give that some consideration. But I don't think it changes much at all.
Pete joins us from Squirrel Hill on line 3. Hey, Pete, welcome to Sports Call again.
Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Bob, to switch things up a little bit, I know you're an NBA guy. And
Yes,
I was
sir.
a ball boy for the 76ers for 2 years when I was young.
Oh.
I was introduced to the game when I was very young. But, Bob, I am so tired of hearing about LeBron James, okay, in his pursuit of Michael Jordan for NBA titles to try to get him one day when he's 6. Why is nobody ever talking about the great Bill Russell? Bob, he was the centerpiece for the greatest dynasty in the history of American sports.
Yes, he was.
11 titles in 13 years, 9 years in a row. And why do they talk about Michael in 6 all the time? Because I don't care about how many pairs of shoes the guy sells.
It's like, I agree. I agree. I think Bill Russell is shortchanged in this whole argument because you know why? It's so long ago. People today don't even have Twitter and don't tweet about him. They tweet about Michael Jordan because you still have pictures of him. They tweet about LeBron because he is everywhere. So, Gene, Bill Russell does get short-sighted here. What he did will never be repeated again.
Yeah, it's the same like with Will Chamberlain.
Right. You're talking about the 22,000?
No. That's a mathematical impossibility, by the way. No, Will Chamberlain and Russell obviously were contemporaries, and Russell obviously won more championships. But those guys, the numbers they put up are just staggering. They did it in the era before the three-point shot. But they certainly don't need us to defend.
Dan, Bill, Jeremiah, and Isaac, you're all coming up next. We're going to take a break right now. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, 7 nights a week on Pittsburgh CW.